All right, guys, welcome back to Dunk Talk. So, this Mac Mclung guy, my God, everyone at the NBA All-Star festivities this past weekend was going absolutely crazy. And honestly, I can see why. I have all the highlights here for you just in case you missed it, so go ahead and enjoy. Now, by no means is he the next Vince Carter now, or Michael Jordan, or LeBron, or Aaron Gordan, or even Blake Griffin. But I think the main reason that he stuck out and got so much praise is because he's only 6'2", and he's dunking like he's of average NBA height. That's pretty abnormal if you ask me. He even had this 540 spin dunk that we'll see later that was just absolutely nuts. But anyway, looking into the history of Mac Mclung, he was regarded as a bit of an odd choice to headline this slam dunk contest on Saturday night. He's only played in 2 NBA games, and none of them were even this season. When it was announced that he was going to be in the dunk contest, NBA fans even mocked the league for failing to convince bigger stars to join the event. But funny enough, no one's laughing now. Mac ended up stealing the show with probably one of the more memorable dunk performances of recent memory. He had 4 attempts and managed to land each dunk in the first try. 3 of those 4 dunks that he had were perfect scores. In case you guys don't even know who Mac Mclung is, which would be pretty shocking because he took over the internet just a few years ago when he was playing at Gate City High School in Virginia, he is now a former G League stud, winning the NBA G League Next Up Game Award, the NBA G League Rookie of the Year in 2022, and the NBA G League All-Rookie Team also in 2022. Now, he does have a 2-way contract signed with the 76ers just before this All-Star Weekend occurred. He opted not to play overseas and stayed committed to just working hard, simply to make it into the NBA. He was also offered a lot of money to play overseas, but still decided to stay to make it into the NBA. Now that's dedication and a lot of discipline. Funny enough, this dunk contest wasn't even McClung's first dunk contest. In 2018, he participated in the Ball is Life All-American Dunk Contest, and guess what? He won that one too, and he beat out current Houston Rockets guard Kevin Porter Jr., as well as Shaq's son, Shareef O'Neal. Now, it's been a tough road for Mac Mclung because he doesn't necessarily have the height or the frame to land a solid rotational role in today's NBA, but it is events like this that at least put him on the map. And by no means is he just some wannabe NBA player. In the final 2 seasons of his high school career, he was averaging 29 points per game and even scored 47 points in the Virginia State Championship game as a senior. From there, he got an acceptance to play at Georgetown. So things kind of did change when he ended up making it to college. McClung made an immediate impact by averaging over 13 points per game as a freshman. Their team ended up going 19-14 in his freshman season with Georgetown, in hopes that later on they would become only better moving into his sophomore season. But in McClung's sophomore year, the Georgetown team went 15 for 17, and McClung was averaging 16 points a game, not a huge step up from his freshman year. He also ended up missing 11 games after the fact, and it became clear that the two sides weren't thrilled with the partnership that they had. So, McClung declared for the 2020 NBA draft before pulling his name and announcing a transfer to Texas Tech. Now, according to his agent, McClung was looking for a role that Georgetown simply wasn't giving him. To make matters worse, when McClung joined Texas Tech, he expected to become more of a traditional point guard, but the results were disappointing to say the least. After 1 season at Texas Tech, McClung put his name in the NBA draft once again. Now, unfortunately, McClung did not get drafted, and he had to enter the NBA the hard way. Fortunately, McClung caught a break when he signed a summer league deal with the Los Angeles Lakers in 2021. He ended up impressing the Lakers enough to earn a 2-way deal, but he was eventually waived and signed to a G League contract. He really started to show that he can in fact play in the G League, and he did average nearly 20 points per game. He ended up getting called up for 1 NBA game with the Lakers in December 2021, and then fast forward to April 2022, he was signed for a single game with the Chicago Bulls. Unfortunately, again, however, neither team decided to re-sign him, and he was a free agent yet again. He did appear briefly with the Golden State Warriors in the team's preseason games in Japan last October, but he didn't stick there either. He then landed with the Delaware Bluecoats, which is the G League affiliate of the Philadelphia 76ers. His scoring did go down a bit, but he was averaging about 6 assists per game in both of his G League seasons, which is pretty important considering that he would take over a point guard role, and assists would obviously be a big deal. His rebounding increased as well, and then apparently the 76ers were impressed enough to give him a look at the NBA level. Now on Tuesday, February 14th of this year, they signed McClung to a two-way deal that would allow him to suit up for Philadelphia whenever necessary for the rest of the regular season. He finally got his break, and since then, he's been such a hard worker that I honestly think he might really have a chance of pulling off some impressive performances with the 76ers so that he could land a solid rotational role. That's only if, of course, they actually play him. So the question is, what happens now? Well, in the next few days, McClung will travel back to either Delaware or Philadelphia, depending on the needs of the 76ers. He will spend the next 2 months shuffling back and forth between the two. This offseason, he will be a free agent once again if the 76ers don't re-sign him, and I think he'll probably likely get an opportunity to have a permanent employment with an NBA team at the very least. If for whatever reason he does fail at that, he'll probably take another two-way or G League contract, which fortunately will pay him some pretty decent money. This two-way contract that he signed with the Sixers guarantees him about $161,000 this year and about $1.8 million next year if they opt him into his qualifying offer. I mean, if you really think about it, the kid outdunked actual NBA players. This is a G League guy who beat actual NBA players. That's wild. We don't know exactly where McClung stands for the future, but his future is bright, I'm sure. He also confirmed that he'll accept the invitation if the NBA wants him to participate in next season's dunk contest, and he said he's ready to face whoever wants to compete with him. Now, granted, the competition wasn't that stiff this NBA All-Star weekend. If a guy like Zion Williamson decides to join, then it'll be a tough win to achieve, but hey, McClung might also make it tough for someone like Zion. But anyway, McClung is not just some G League player anymore. He became a star in this All-Star weekend, and I really hope he can land a role on some team that wants to keep him for good. Thanks for watching, everyone.